Wow. At this point, I think I've seen this episode like 3 times, and I'm gonna watch it again after this. Well, maybe not after this. In the new year, dare I say I was wrong? Well, okay, not really. I don't know if I said this in my review, but in my head, I was like, well, so far it's more like a B, more like an 8 out of 10 type thing, like a B+, but maybe won't get more than a B+. And after this episode, I'm pointing at my TV, after this episode, I should possibly put my notes on my TV, but then I'm gonna be like looking at this. Episode 3 is clearly my favorite. It not only... I'm speechless. The writing is good. The editing, the VFX are even really, really good. And I wasn't gonna, and I'm not, but there are some very egregious green screen scenes in both episode 1 and 2. And it really makes me go, what happened? And I actually kind of find this interesting because last year, it wasn't that I didn't like episode 1 and 2 of season 1. It was just that I wasn't the biggest fan. They were weird. They were weird to me. They felt rushed, just like these 2 episodes were, even though these 2 episodes were longer than the first 2 episodes of season 1. Still, I find that very interesting that there's a trend here. Turn the shades. The shades, the blinds. Which one identifies me as a Floridian? I just find it really interesting that there's a pattern. Is there a pattern? I hope there's not a pattern. Now the sun decides to come out. I really hope episodes 1 and 2 of season 3 are really good. I mean, I think they will be. I love the Titan's Curse, so I feel like regardless, it's going to be good, because if this is how we all collectively feel about the Sea of Monsters, because it looks like we all love this, because this was really good. Episode 3 completely changes how I feel about episodes 1 and 2 and about the season as a whole. Now I'm thinking this might pull out with a A-. Maybe, we'll see. That's way too early to tell. But this episode alone, the tone, how much darker it is, because you really start to feel stakes now. You really start to feel what these characters are feeling and how they're feeling. And that's what I like about this show, the different perspectives from the different characters. And I think that's what real hardcore, Percy Jackson fans are really buttering their biscuits about, because this show does not have that first-person POV whimsy that the books do have. We are getting the story through Percy's perspective through the books, but in this show, it is through everyone's perspective. And that's what I said, that's what I meant last week when I said this is more true to the feelings. This is more true to probably how it went down. And I like that it is darker. It is more adult, I guess you can say. It reminds me of Ahsoka. I think it's episode 6, but we see a live action version of the Clone Wars, and it really puts into perspective the war part of Star Wars, of Clone Wars, and I loved it. That show, and I would say this show, are both doing the same thing. And to be honest, I kind of like it. And again, this episode makes episodes 1 and 2 seem I don't want to say the word bearable, because that's not the correct word. It just makes them better. It just makes the whole experience better. That's really, really hard to do with just one episode. Again, this episode is just so good. And it's a little shorter than the other episodes. I saw some people complaining that this episode was really short, and it clocks in at 34 minutes opposed to the first episode, which is 39 minutes, and the second episode, which has so far been the longest episode, 41 minutes. However, you don't fully feel like this is a short episode. At least when I watched it the first time, I didn't feel like it was a short episode. I kind of only felt it after, because I knew it was a shorter episode. And honestly, one of the reasons why it doesn't really feel like it's a shorter episode to me is because there's a lot of times, a lot of moments where these characters are dialoguing, and there's a lot of pauses between them, but it's really to really make you feel you're present in that moment with those characters, having these discussions, thinking what they're thinking. I thought was done really, really well. The whole thing was directed pretty well. All right, so let's talk about Clarisse. This episode is basically Clarisse's episode. It's hilarious because it starts out with Clarisse and then she kind of takes like the B story, which again, it's fine. It's Percy Jackson and the Olympians, not Clarisse Leroux and the Olympians. But I absolutely love this for Clarisse. Whatever's going on with Clarisse, I love it. This is great, so let's talk about it. We are going raw, basically. These are my notes. And just to give you a quick glimpse, these are a little bit more organized as to what my notes from college used to look like, but they were color-coded because this is what my brain can process. If it was all one solid color, I would give up. There would be no way. But I absolutely love that we are getting more on Clarisse. Clarisse in the book, like I said last week, there's not a lot on Clarisse in the book. She's there. She just appears. We don't get to see her. Oh, sorry. Oh, wait, no, I didn't say that last week, did I? No. Now I absolutely love that we get to see more of Clarisse. Clarisse in the books, we didn't really get to see her get the quest in the books. She kind of just appears in the next episode when our heroes meet up with Clarisse. That's kind of when she shows up, because again, this is all well, at least the books were through Percy's perspective, and now with this show we are able to expound on everyone else's perspective and everyone else's feelings and how they react to these things. Because that quest that she got, I mean, of course it's got to be devastating. And if you don't know the quest from the books, I am not going to spoil it because the show clearly wants to leave that last line out for a surprise, and I'm not going to be the one to spoil it for you guys. But I absolutely found it hilarious when Clarisse immediately chopped the Oracle's head off. She's a fighter. She does not, well, I mean, I guess she's a little bit of both. She chopped that head off and then she said, see you later. But then the Oracle did her gas thing, and just like in season 1 where the Oracle showed someone that Percy knew to Percy, the Oracle is showing Clarisse someone that she knows, and that is herself. And this is where I want to ask you, why do you think the Oracle showed Clarisse herself? Personally, I think it's because Clarisse doesn't have anybody. She's alone. She doesn't have any friends. She doesn't really know her parents. She lives at camp 24/7. She is quite literally alone. She has nobody. So to me, it being herself, telling herself that she's going to fail, that is crazy. That is crazy dark. Once again, it's got to be devastating for Clarisse. And I think one of the reasons why the Oracle, at least the show, decides to cut off at and fail, I think is because that is what the show is telling us that Clarisse is focusing on. She didn't really hear anything else after that. All she heard was and fail. That is it. She just heard herself say that Clarisse would fail. And because of that, that is why she's out to change her destiny. That's why she wants to change her fate. It's very subtle, but they're in there. She wants to change this quest, this fate of hers. And she shows that through the soldiers that Ares gave her. It's Daddy Ares to the rescue. Now, I didn't catch this the first time. I caught this, I think, either third or second time, but Clarisse deliberately chooses to leave Chris behind. Now, I don't know why she would, but I don't know. And I don't know why the show would have Chris there awkwardly at the beginning, and then just for him to show up later, because he's gonna show up later. It's really weird. I do feel like it is a missed opportunity for Chris to be there to try to help Clarisse along, but this is the whole point of Clarisse trying to do this by herself, because she is going to do this by herself. She will change the fate of her quest, and she's going to do the unthinkable. She's going to get that fleece, at least in her mind. That is the definitive decision. And just like in the book, her daddy Ares gives her ironclad, this iron ship, and a crew of dead soldiers. And I really love that it was Clarisse recalling, her teachings on her father. Those who fall in battle owe a debt to Ares. And Ares' joke was really funny. You'd think I'd get the winners, but no. You'd really think so, but I mean, if they win and then they die, then they go to Elysium. I don't know. It's a complicated afterlife, and every single religion and myth and everything, their afterlives are just a thing to unpack. So we're not unpacking that at this moment, but it's very evident that Ares is really proud of his daughter, but at the same time, completely undermines her at every turn. And it stings. The things that Ares says to the soldiers, though Ares was trying to be use it as a tactic, trying to make it seem like they don't have any power, but he was just demeaning Clarisse. And Clarisse knew, the soldiers knew, but poor Ares did not. And I love that Ares is such a woman's man, such a supporter of the female, but he has no idea how to communicate, and I just found it hilarious. He's that guy. It's like, what? Thank you for being part of the cause, but you are still a problem anytime you speak. And my favorite joke from all of this is Mitch from Blockbuster, who lost the streaming wars. How ugly did it get? And he is still in his Blockbuster uniform. So did they attack Blockbuster? Who attacked Blockbuster? And for Disney to bring up the streaming wars, they're the ones who did it first. So that is crazy. Hilarious, but crazy. But I absolutely love this arc for Clarisse, because Clarisse, I don't know if you guys caught it, but when she said, "Aren't you tired of losing?" she wasn't talking to the soldiers quite yet. She was talking to herself. Ever since we met her, as badass as she is, she kind of has been losing to Percy time after time. And I guess through her perspective, and in her perspective, she's losing to Percy again because the quest was given to her, but Percy's out here, stealing her quest. And that's how she gets these dead soldiers on her side. Because honestly, these dead soldiers, they're gonna do whatever they need, Ares wants them to do, and then they're just gonna go back to the ground, back to the fields of Asphodel, waiting to be called by Ares to be used again. It's an endless cycle, so to them, they don't necessarily care that much. Why would they? But when Clarisse said that this is an opportunity for them to change their fate, an opportunity for them to do something better than what they did in their actual life, that's kind of cool. She inspired them, she commanded respect, she commanded control, and she became their captain. Clarisse, a badass. And I told you she is a natural leader. Her and Allison, I believe, are my two favorite characters. And I know they've got the littlest of screen time, but they both are astounding to me. So let's talk about Allison. Daughter of Apollo confirmed. I mean, it was a little bit obvious. I mean, if you didn't know, that's fine, but it's definitely Apollo. I am obsessed with Allison Sims. I don't know what it is. Since the first episode, I thought she was going to become my queen. And after this episode, my allegiance. Genuinely, I mean, the very first thing that we see her do is she's reading Bow Huntress. It's a hunting magazine. And I love that. Love that for you, girl. She's a daughter of Apollo. Well, you can't help her. But she didn't know that Percy and Annabeth were there. So she was legitimately reading this magazine for pure fun. And I find that amazing. I love that. She also says she's graduated, and I saw a lot of people say that she was just probably lying. But the fact that it took Annabeth a while to recognize Allison or to remember who Allison was makes me believe that Allison really is graduated. So how old is Allison? She definitely has to be more than 18 to have been graduated. So we could easily say that she is 18, 19, potentially even 20. And if that's the case, girl, you are attacking 13-year-olds, by the way. But that's also to say that since she has graduated, of course, she would be much better at sword fighting, much better at combat than Percy and Annabeth. I mean, Percy and Annabeth, they put up quite a fight, but Allison swept the floor with them. And she says she's been seeing the world, and honestly, with her fighting skills, I kind of believe it. In the books, demigods can live up to graduation, and they can either decide to stay at camp or leave, or is it that, or is it the rules? Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments for these, but if you do graduate and you do go out into the world, the odds of you surviving are not a lot. I mean, of course there are adult demigods out there, but it's really, really tough for adult demigods to survive. So if Allison's been out there seeing the world, she's been monster hunting this whole time. So of course she would be really, really good at combat. And did you see a little hand daggered sword thing? She would have something like that because her bow and arrow would be her first weapon of choice. And she can't carry a whole sword. So she would carry something like that and she would be phenomenal at it. I love it. And we gotta talk about how violent Allison is. Apollo is notoriously non-confrontational, shall we say. He does like violence, he's non-violent, but Allison is completely violent. Like, she is rageful violent. And I saw a lot of people on Reddit talk about how they didn't like that Allison was completely different from Apollo, but honestly, lest we forget that these kids do have individual personalities. I mean, in the House of Heroes, Piper was very much not like the other Aphrodite girls. Leo also did not resemble the other Hephaestus kids. He was scrawny opposed to super gruff and buff. And I do like that Allison is not like her father, very violent, because that's a subtle way of portraying Allison's rejection of her parentage. I absolutely love it. I want to know more about her. I need to know more about her. And I mean, making her a daughter of Apollo, I don't think that is a coincidence, especially because they've been teasing the actor for Apollo and saying that, oh, that this actor is really, really great, but they won't say who it is. Dude, there are books called The Trial of Apollo, which I've been meaning to read, but I genuinely don't think that any of this is an accident. This was done on purpose. I hope they get to interact, because their interactions would be glorious. I love it. And how do you think that Allison knew that they were outside that door? I think that Allison actually saw Percy right before he went into that closet or wherever they were in. I mean, they did take their sweet time getting into that room, and Allison is an archer, so it would stand to reason that she has like sharp vision, you know, she definitely would. So I bet you she spotted them, because if you watch how she like composes herself afterward, it's almost like she's trying to put on an act. And for her to come up with this plan to play with them in this way is hilarious. So let's talk about Luke, the monsters, and the Princess Andromeda. When I was watching this the first time, the first thing I said was, this is such Sweet Life on Deck. This is insane. Like, this has got to be the same set. This is the same boat. It's got to be the same boat from Sweet Life on Deck. And then when on X, I saw a reel that had clips of the Princess Andromeda and Percy fighting with Allison and with Luke, and underneath they had it to the Sweet Life on Deck theme song, and I had a good 5-minute laugh. That was really good. And the meme comparisons do not stop, because the only thing I could think of whenever Percy had that gold card was
Madam Morrible MM. Flip it around, Wicked Witch.
Yeah. The only thing that came to my mind when Percy flipped that card. Wicked Witch. That is just that is like a vocal stim, I think, permanently, forever for me. But I absolutely love how villainous Luke has become. Now, he's not quite as violent and as aggressive as he is in the comics, but he's more methodical, more like a Lex Luthor than anything. Lex Luthor Jr., might I say. And honestly, dude, Charlie Bushnell, all of the flowers, baby. Like, dude, you're doing it. And I love it. Keep doing it. What a villain. I think his acting is pretty good, because he's trying to control himself. He's trying not to lash out. That is the craziest thing about Luke and Percy. Luke is actually kind of calm and collected, whereas Percy's, he's kind of like, I want to go in there. I want to kill him. I want to do this. We got to stop it. Where Luke is like, we're all about love and peace over here. And that is insanity. The juxtaposition is in this episode alone is truly mwah, because man, they're really not beating those two sides of the same coin allegations. It's definitely about Percy and Luke, and I think Percy might start catching on to this. I mean, Percy and Luke even say the same line, we can end the war tonight. And when Luke said that to Percy, Percy felt that. He felt that one in his bones. And I think that was a moment where Percy realized that they are, you know, two sides of the same coin. They have the same solution, but different means. One is to kill, and the other one is to just join and be part of something better, be something bigger, something greater. Two perspectives. But Luke demonstrated that he was always in control, and I do like that about a good villain. It's why, okay, maybe it's not why I like Kylo Ren. I like because Kylo Ren loses control. Different discussion, different day. But Percy was so ready to slap Luke in the face with that. Your dad told me, your daddy and I, the dad that you and I, that you hate, that I kind of like, we speak twice now. It was a slap in the face. It was a total Percy meant to hurt Luke, and Luke was hurt. It was such a crazy exchange. This is a kid's show. That's what's crazy about all of this. But lo and behold, Luke needs them to find the Golden Fleece because Luke wants the Golden Fleece to fast track Kronos' healing. So he intentionally poisoned Thalia so that a quest can be made for the fleece. It's a very, very risky move on Luke's part, but I think he knew that Annabeth would at least, if not get the quest, do something on her own to get this fleece. Regardless, he knew Annabeth that well. And he claims to know Thalia as well. And in the books, Thalia Grace is a daughter of Zeus, a daughter of one of the big three, something that cannot happen. But she sacrificed herself so that Grover, Annabeth, and Luke can get to camp safely. And because of this, Zeus was touched. So instead of having her die, he turned her into a tree. And that tree is now the tree that has a magical borders around camp and is the thing that protects camp now. And Luke has a very compelling argument. I mean, I don't know if it's just Charlie Bushnell's acting or the writing or what, but he started to make me doubt whether or not I knew Thalia as well as I thought I knew her. I was like, wait, do I know Thalia? I don't know anymore. It's a very good setup. And we're gonna meet Thalia next episode, and I think it's gonna be a flashback. I would hope it's a flashback. But we're gonna start to see at least a little bit of Thalia, and I think they're gonna leave that ambiguous, like who and what Thalia was before all of this. And I don't know if you guys noticed something, but Luke's confrontation with Percy in front of just the demigods, in front of none of the monsters, was completely different than when Luke confronted Percy in front of the monsters. When it was just the demigods, Luke was very, he held his rage back, but you can tell there was rage, there was hatred, there was wanting to just punch Percy in the face. But then when they were in front of the monsters, suddenly Luke is the hero. Suddenly Luke is the one that everyone, including the monsters, like, and Percy is the villain. Very interesting. Again, it's two sides, same coin. It's a pretty compelling argument, and to be honest, I'm almost convinced. Like, Luke presents good stuff. But Percy caught on. Where do humans fit in this? The humans don't fit in this equation. Apparently, the humans have got to go. And that doesn't sit well with Percy. Percy said, no, sir, but we'll get there. But Luke doesn't give up. He reminds Percy that Tyson is not a monster. He reminds Percy that Tyson is a son of Poseidon. And Luke calls Tyson son of Poseidon twice in this episode. He never actually refers to Tyson as a monster. And the very first thing that their interaction, within the first minute, Percy accidentally refers to Tyson as a monster. But Luke, having just met him, keeps referring to him as son of Poseidon, son of Poseidon, son of Poseidon. Again, the juxtaposition, insanity. He was so adorable. Tyson is so freaking cute. Seeing him in his element, tinkering away in his big little hands, and his little smile, his little mouth. Oh my god, he is adorable. I love him so much. Oh my god, and he made a bomb. I rewound that like 3 times, I think. Just the casualness, a bomb. Daniel Deemer, give this man an award, please. He's just so freaking good. His mannerisms, his tonality, his physicality, all of it. It's And when Luke said that Tyson could be here and not be treated like a problem to be solved, that's when Percy realized he's got to change how he treats Tyson. Because honestly, Percy kind of really does talk to him in like a little child. And I know Tyson is a little bit slower, but I kind of feel like Percy kind of does diminish Tyson from time to time. And even after making friends, he said, oh, that big guy wasn't so bad. Well, baby, that big guy did tackle you and punch you across the forest. So, I mean, I guess bygones be bygones. Tyson, you have the heart of the most hearts. and I love you. I might have a little crush on Tyson. But he built that bomb to protect Percy and Annabeth because being a real hero means standing up for others. Tyson understood the situation. He understood how Percy and Annabeth must have felt because Tyson was there. I don't know if you guys realized it, but the turntables happened, and while they were in the basement down at the bottom there, Tyson was no longer a minority. The minorities were Percy and Annabeth. They were the outcast. They were the ones who were everybody was looking at a little differently, a little like sketchy, like are you actually gonna be here? Are you actually gonna be help or are you not? That is insane. I love this show, dude. And Tyson walking out in flames, just tossing off his flaming jacket. This show didn't have to go this hard, but it went super hard and it kept going. It is so freaking good. I cannot. My goodness. And finally, Percy and Annabeth. Boone, adorable. Adorable. And Walker Scobell is delivering this just like Percy would. It is so, and again, if you watch the interviews that he's in, Walker responds with such Percy, and this man embodies, he's a child, but like he embodies Percy. And so does Leia. Leia really embodies Annabeth so much, and she has that methodical brain of Annabeth. And it's really fun to see these characters because they really do just leap right off those pages into this show. And as cute as Boone might have been, I knew it wasn't going to work. I had the same thought as Annabeth. I thought it's not really going to work because at some point you're just going to get really, really annoyed, and it's just, you're just going to get pissed. And it only took one Boone, just one Boone, for Percy to just flip the lid. And I found that to be hilarious because it's not that Percy doesn't trust Annabeth or doesn't trust Annabeth to be a leader. You got to remember that 1, he's 13, and 2, he's full of rage and anger. Because Percy, he's the son of Poseidon. Just like the sea, it cannot be contained. Having to do full trust into something and just say okay and not do anything, it's not going to do well with someone who's ADHD. And both parties are kids of natural leaders. So it's going to be difficult for either to follow the other. And it's really not a question of who is a better leader, as can you be a good partner? And that is crazy because we all know they're gonna end up together eventually. But like it is fascinating to see their dynamics here because both of them want completely different goals. Just crazy because Luke and Percy, as we already discussed, have the same goals, just different methods. Percy and Annabeth have completely different goals and different methods. Percy wants to end the war and he wants to get rid of Luke, take him out of the equation, and Annabeth wants to rehabilitate Luke, something that Percy believes Luke cannot be. To Luke, Luke is Annabeth's older brother, and I'm glad that they made this change from the book. In the book, I always found this really weird, but Annabeth had like a little weird crush on Luke. It was odd. It was bizarre. We're not going to talk about it. But in this show, as it should be, Luke is like Annabeth's brother, and like they were all like siblings, Luke, Talia, and Annabeth. And Luke reminds Annabeth that she didn't know Talia for that long. She only knew Talia for 2 months, opposed to him knowing Talia for 2 years. And I think this is brilliant because Luke understands that Annabeth knows everything, and Annabeth trusts fact, and Annabeth knows a lot of facts. And if she knows all these facts are factual, how then do you get to Annabeth other than making her doubt one of those facts? And one of those facts is that Talia is good and that she would fight for the gods. And Luke got in her head, what if Talia is just like Luke? And what if Annabeth doesn't know Talia the way Annabeth thinks she knows? And if this one fact that Annabeth has is wrong, then maybe everything else is wrong. Because remember, in season 1, she tells Hephaestus, Percy is not like the rest of them, he is different. And now when Percy asks her, what do you think? Do you think I will destroy the world? Annabeth says nothing. Now, I think that she says nothing, not because she doesn't know, but I think it's because, again, she knows how prophecies work. She knows that prophecies can be misconstrued, of which Chiron paraphrased. He committed the cardinal sin of a prophecy. Never paraphrase, because you don't freaking know what it means. No one ever knows what these mean, but he paraphrased it for her. And I think because she knows how this works, whether or not she thinks Percy will destroy the world or not, and I think she thinks not, but to her, it doesn't matter. The prophecy says what the prophecy says. The decision isn't hers. It doesn't matter what she thinks. Ultimately, it's Percy's decision. It is up to Percy. It's up to what he decides. Doesn't matter what Annabeth thinks, and that's why she stays silent. And also because she's now starting to doubt, because she knew for a fact that Percy wouldn't, and now that she is doubting Talia, now she's starting to doubt Percy as well. And that is crazy, because now Percy is like, you're right, I don't want to know. And I mean, Percy did want to know. He kept saying throughout the episode, I don't want to know, I don't want to know, I don't want to know. But a little one too many I don't want to knows. Now we got you, buddy. You really wanted to know. But he was being mature about it, because good old Percy, again, puts other people's feelings first. Oh, I never turned on my lights. We'll have them be yellow for today. But deep down, Percy really wanted to know that prophecy. And so now he knows the gist of the prophecy. And just like the classic old adage, I don't even know how it goes, but it's basically, if you know your fate, you're gonna want to either change it or you're just gonna not want to know, because it's just gonna be depressing. And Percy now doesn't want to know his fate, because it's a lot of pressure. This is a lot of pressure for a 13-year-old. And this show is doing a really good job at conveying that and conveying the dark and the heavy tone. And they said the show is just gonna get even darker, and even season 3 is gonna get darker, and I cannot wait. I've been rambling for an hour. I mean, there's a lot of pauses that I'm gonna have to take out, but still. That is it. Let me know in the comments what you thought. What are your thoughts on my breakdown on the show? I am absolutely loving it. Episode 3, so good. Mwah, 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 mwah. I absolutely love it. I cannot wait for episode 4. However, episode 4 is gonna come out on I don't know if it's Christmas or Christmas Eve. Either way, I'm gonna be traveling Christmas Eve, so I don't know when, or I guess it's fine because all of these are getting up late. So I guess it's okay. But I'm gonna be traveling for on Christmas Eve, and then I'm gonna be traveling back that following Sunday, and then to work immediately. So we'll see. But I'll get the episode up for you guys very, very pronto. So I'm having a lot of fun with this. It's giving me a lot of serotonin. Let me know in the comments below your thoughts. My sushi media links are also in the comments. Not in the comments, but they're in the description below, and I will see you next time. You've just been Montified.